Welcome back to Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I am your host, Jay Taylor, and I'm really happy to have with me for the first time John Tumazos. John is a chartered financial analyst. He is the owner, founder, and senior analyst at John Tumazos, Very Independent Research. And John lives up to his name. It is very independent research, and that's what, in addition to his qualifications and a long-standing and excellent reputation on Wall Street, he is also a man of very high standards in the way he does his work and proceeds. So I've known him personally for the last number of years, and his firm does fundamental research in commodities markets, common stocks, and in metals, fertilizers, and forest products as well. So in his business model, they sell research and provide corporate advisory services to small emerging mining companies. And the website to go to, if you want to learn more about John, is veryindependentresearch.com, veryindependentresearch.com. Thanks for joining me today, John.
It's an honor, Jay. Thank you.
Really good to have you with me, and I've looked forward to this for some time. I'd like to talk about the politics and economic climate and how it might be impacting the mining sector right now. I know that your abilities certainly are in the area of understanding companies and the economics of and the technical aspects of mining, the science behind it, and all of that. It's a very complicated business. It's a very difficult business. One of the most difficult businesses in the world, I think, is mining, especially in this day and age when so much science and government and politics is involved. But I'd like to, before we get into a couple of your favorite ideas in the mining sector and why you like them and what your prospects are for mining, I'd like to ask you, do you have a sense as to whether or not a Trump presidency, should it occur, and I know a lot of people are pulling their hair out and saying, oh my God, it cannot happen, but let's say it does happen, would it be good or bad for the mining industry in the United States?
Well, it would be spectacular. And I think that it's good if you get channel 616 on Verizon, One American News, or go on YouTube and listen to 60 to 90-minute full-length Trump speeches, not the sound bites that the liberal commentators want to use to nail him. His first theme is that the political parties, the electoral system, the federal government are profoundly corrupt and the decision-making bought and stupid. That's his number one theme. His number two theme is reshoring, creating jobs, bringing manufacturing back, make America great again. Now, bringing American manufacturers back to the 50 states is a big help to metals. Just as an example, this year the U.S. primary aluminum is going to be 530,000 tons, 3 smelters of Century Aluminum running half, one smelter of Alcoa running half, and another one running for a few months before it shuts. The U.S. needs 1 million tons a month of aluminum. So we're 4% self-sufficient.
Wow, only 4%.
Now, if you count scrap, we're a third self-sufficient. If you count scrap.
Yeah. But even so, that means we're having to import 2/3.
And the share prices of U.S. Steel or AK Steel would suggest the steel industry is an endangered species, as well as mining. So I'm from Pittsburgh, Jay. My dad worked 27 years U.S. Steel Homestead. I feel like I'm sitting in Heinz Field waving a yellow flag, yellow towel for the AFC Championship game when I hear a Trump speech for an hour. That's an expression of enthusiasm.
Well, it certainly is. He certainly is a person coming from a different angle, and certainly doesn't have that albatross around his neck, having and being owned by whoever it is that is owning our government now. And I think that's probably a lot of people are feeling that way. And but it is interesting to see the establishment scramble and try to make up stories about him and so on and so forth. So in any event, what about turning to the gold mining industry, the gold industry? I mean, we've seen a very strong start to 2016 in the gold sector. We saw that last year. What are your thoughts on gold? Do you think this one has legs? Do you think we might be on to something more substantial than just a 2 or 3 month rise here in the price of the yellow metal?
Well, first, it's the best period for physical gold purchases in 6 years.
Uh-huh.
The GLD, Gold Bullion ETF, has taken in 147 tons, 32,151 troy ounces in a metric ton, since December 17, from 630 to 677, if I'm doing that right. And the average from 2004 to 2012 was 293 tons a year of ETF buying, all ETFs, where GLD is only 40% of the mix now.
Uh-huh.
So if you annualize the last 2 months, this is a record period, bigger than the stimulus period in '09.
Yeah.
So there's a wall of gold, and part of it's the Izubu Ponzi scam scandal in China, $7.6 billion. The Chinese market down 50%, negative real rates in Japan and Sweden, joining Switzerland, the EU, all these other countries from last year. And then stock and bond markets don't look that good around the world. So right now, there is investment demand for gold that's good. And, Barrick has tripled off its bottom. Royal Gold has doubled. Anglo Gold has tripled. And some of the big stocks look like they're trading at 3 times our net present value calculations. But there aren't enough. There's a lot of money that wants to go into gold right now.
Well, if they're trading at 3 times NPV for you, then that would suggest they're not a good buy.
We're recommending Silver Wheaton and Osisko Gold Royalties among the conservative companies. Kirkland Lake is a primary mine. There is a basket of small stocks we're recommending. The big money managers, if they have a $10 million inflow overnight or whatever, they might just buy the 5 most liquid names.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So we're recommending a basket, and I'm going to talk slowly and mention 20 stocks.
Okay.
Torex Gold, Kirkland Lake, Detour Gold, Paramount Gold Nevada, Galway Gold, Teranga Gold, Northern Dynasty, Exelon Resources, Continental Gold, Red Eagle Mines, Pershing Gold, Pure Gold, Richmont Mines, Orvana Mines, Premier Gold, West Dome, Coeur Mines, Platinum Metals Group, Northern Star Resources, and Pilot Gold. We've hosted every one of those companies at our conferences except Northern Star. We visited Northern Star in Perth. We have visited most of those companies' mines. But I think that the big money managers aren't going into the small caps because they got to put the money to work overnight.
Right.
And it doesn't take a lot of money to make some of these small stocks triple.
Well, that's right. And I'm wondering, John, if the big names are overpriced, if they might not use some of that currency to go out, raise money, and go buy some of these little guys that are undervalued. Is that something you see, consolidation?
Well, sometimes investors have a profit in a big stock. And they sell the big stock and buy a bunch of these little guys that might be better companies as well as being cheaper. The big guys are kind of sucking their thumbs. They made so many mistakes. There's $111 billion of write-offs by gold, silver, and platinum companies pre-tax since 2008. So there aren't a lot of them that have guts right now. And a lot of them have stranded projects from the last cycle that they're still trying to fix. So there might be takeovers, but I think that investors are going to buy the small caps because the big caps have just run so fast.
All right. Let me ask you, I know that Kirkland Lake, at your conference last year, you were really, really big on Kirkland Lake. You mentioned a whole bunch of names, and I want to ask you about Northern Dynasty as well. But what is it that specifically, if you still do like Kirkland Lake as much?
I own 314,000 shares of Kirkland Lake. It's my largest gold holding and my largest personal holding at the moment. It fell from 21 to 2 U.S. They were doubling their mine and mill. They expanded their mill to 2,200 tons a day. They had some equipment issues. They bought a ball mill from China that was full of cracks. They expanded the mill and they expanded the shaft lifting capacity, but the underground development wasn't in line. There were bottlenecks.
Yeah.
So anyway, they finished that. They had a convert that people thought they couldn't pay back. Now they have the cash to pay it back. And the Canadian gold price is pushing 1,700.
Yes.
Almost at a record. So I think it can go all the way back from 2 to 21. It's at 6 right now. And I like the management. I was dear friends with the CEO that as soon as I started buying the stock, they changed them out. People got frustrated when it was 2.
Yeah.
So I started buying when Brian was still CEO, but George is a good guy. And I'm in it for, I think the price target in our reports is 13 or 14, but I think you can do at least that. Conservatively, I budgeted a $400 million Canadian investment for a new shaft in my model, which is just replacement CapEx.
All right. Well, that's quite a good story. I certainly is one that I have on my list, and I like
to. It's a half an ounce grade almost. And
that's the grade is amazing. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to Northern Dynasty. I mean, this is one that I think most people have given up for dead. Northern Dynasty for political reasons, for alleged environmental reasons. What's your take on that now? Because it seems as though this is. I mean, bin Laden was never hated as much as Northern Dynasty.
Well, I don't know.
By the establishment.
So, I think that, the state of Alaska supports it. There have been ballot referendums that mention salmon fisheries, and 58% of the Alaskans still vote in favor of the mine. Or against the green initiatives. So this thing is loved in Alaska. And the problem is the federal government and the EPA, et cetera. Now, one phrase I heard in one of Trump's full-length stump speeches is that he was talking about his Mexican wall he wants to build. The Obama administration or the Bush administration said that somebody saw a snake and they didn't want to build a wall. So he sort of... He expressed a little frustration with environmental rules.
Yeah.
And he has another line, and I can't wait for if he debates Hillary. He says that Hillary's not going to run for president. She's going to run for her life, because if he's president, he'll prosecute her. Now, maybe Bill's got something going at the foundation. I don't know. Then Mr. Obama and Holder, the former Attorney General, and the lady Loretta isn't Lynch, the current Attorney General, they bend some rules to try to make his interpretation of the Constitution fit. But the EPA is primed for prosecution for the very reasons that Northern Dynasty is suing it.
Yeah.
Rigging the data, forbidding a private company from making even an environmental application. So I think that Donald Trump would rescue those honest geologists at Hunter Dickinson Group, Ron Thiessen, Bob Dickinson, and the gang.
Yeah.
Now, there's only 108 million ounces of gold, 80 billion pounds of copper, and 5.6 billion pounds of moly as of 2010 or 11 when they stopped counting.
Yeah.
They had their best drill holes after they stopped counting.
That's incredible. What's the copper content there now? 80
billion pounds.
80 billion pounds, and the best drill holes towards the end. And so,
the best
it's incredible.
Hole was after they calculated that. It's not in the database yet. It's not in the reserve.
Okay, so...
The resource.
Oh, it's in the resource. All right. Well, so the point is that...
Now, there's $6 billion in capital to build it. At low prices of $2.50 copper and $10.50 gold. They estimated a 14% pre-tax return 5 or 6 years ago in their last technical study. So once Donald Trump is in the White House and we're saved again, and we can make America great again, the next question is just the issues of metal prices and CapEx and cost control. Mm-hmm. Now, if the ratio of gold and copper to oil is high, it's a double win. This is an open pit mine that uses diesel, but it's also up in Alaska where transportation is half of your costs in terms of supplies, not the supplies, but getting it there.
Yeah.
So if all these young kids believe Al Gore and Bernie Sanders and buy electric cars,
yeah,
like Ford and Toyota want to make, and oil is cheap, I think there's a scenario where gold is high, copper is high, oil's cheap. For Kirkland Lake, the sea dollar is cheap. Mm-hmm. That's a good scenario for your next NPV analysis or definitive feasibility study update at Northern Dynasty.
Well, that's about as optimistic as anything I've heard on many fronts. But then I think that Donald Trump probably is a nationalist, and there are people that are globalists, and they don't care that much about what happens in America. Clearly, what you're talking about is one of the most remarkable undeveloped.
In October of 1970, I was in ninth grade, and the older kids were trying to recruit me for the high school debate team.
Uh-huh.
And the resolution was resolved that the federal government create an environmental protection agency. And one night in October, President Nixon went on TV and adopted the high school debate resolution.
No.
And he created it. So in 1970, the pendulum was strong. In American history prior to 1970, there was an environmental law.
Yeah.
Now the pendulum is the other way, and we got the tyranny of the fruitcakes.
Yeah.
I think it would be reasonable, now that we've protected the environment and cleaned up for half a century, to repurpose the Environmental Protection Agency, rewrite the law, and call it the Job Creation, Poverty Prevention, and Environmental Protection Agency. In other words, don't shut down every job. Protect the environment, but let people earn a living too.
Yeah, well, it certainly needs to be a balance, and Lord knows it's swung in the other direction. No question about that, John. All right, so so much more to talk about. There's so many companies. Cisco, you say, is one of your picks among the royalty companies.
It's been a big laggard in this rally the last month or two, by the way.
Right, it has. And so you would pick that over Franco-Nevada, I guess, probably, at this stage?
So Cisco is based on Canadian Malartic Mine and Eleanor, both of which appear to be doing well.
Yeah, they are doing well. Yeah, they are. Well, John, we're just about out of time here, so I guess anything else you'd like to mention? I guess, people should go to your website.
If you go to www.veryindependentresearch.com,
right,
and then click on Buy Our Reports, you can buy our reports a la carte. If there's any trouble with the IT, just call us and email us, and we'll make it a little easier for you.
Well, yeah, so I
think
all of those...
We're having our conference March 31 with at least 34 companies. Go to www.veryindependentresearch.com. Just click on conferences, and you can watch our webcast live, no username, no password, no charge.